Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and it's pretty late. I think it's about 2 o'clock in the morning, and normally I wouldn't make a video at this time of night, but I had to stop and do this because I felt like it was important for me to have this conversation. And I got an email from a brother, and it affected me. It touched me. And I was gonna type out a response, and I said, you know what? Instead of me typing, it's probably better if I just talk and explain the response. But then also, I realized instead of me just telling him, I would share this for anybody who can use this information, use this advice. Basically, the brother he reached out to me because I won't say his name, obviously, just to protect his privacy. Uh, but he had seen, I guess, a video I'd done about Karen Washington, a young black woman, a beautiful black woman who was an advocate for dark-skinned women. And Karen committed suicide recently. And again, nobody knows exactly why she might have killed herself, but she did mention having some self-esteem issues that related to her dark skin. I don't know if that was the reason or not. I'm sure it didn't help. But at the same time, either way, no matter what it was, she had something going on in her life that made her feel that her life wasn't worth preserving. And that really affected me because my adopted daughters are dark skinned, beautiful dark skinned black women. I mean, just all the West African you can imagine in a woman's blood, and I can't imagine them thinking that they are somehow less than because they have this beautiful dark skin. It really baffles me, to be honest with you. But I've seen it up close. We all have. Now, colorism isn't the issue that I wanted to discuss today. I wanted to talk about specifically. I'm going to talk to this brother who sent me this message, but I'm also talking really to anybody who wants to listen in on this conversation. Um, the brother he communicated to me that he was struggling. He was having a hard time. Some things were not quite working out for him. Things had gotten tough, and he said he thought about killing himself. And fortunately, through an act of God, I would say, when he saw the video that I put out about Karen, he says that gave him an opportunity to reconsider. He said it really affected him. He said it kept him from hurting himself, and and to me that is an act of God. That makes me feel good. That's why I get up and do this every day, because I believe that every day when I'm talking to you, I am, for that moment, I am your teacher. I am your brother. I am your father. I am your son. I am whatever you need me to be at that moment to help you get through whatever you're dealing with. And again, I don't know all the answers. I'm not Superman. But I do know a few answers that I didn't know maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago. And one of the things I used to think about when I was younger, and I look back and I say, gosh, I wish I'd had somebody my age now to give me advice to kind of get me through some of the things I've had to go through. I had a father who raised me. He wasn't my biological father, but there were still some things that that I could have used, because I also suffered through some depression during high school years. It wasn't easy. I'll just say that. It was so bad I don't even like talking about it because it was just that bad. But fortunately, what really served as a turning point for me was when I was about 18 years old and my daughter was born. I had a baby my freshman year of college, and I remember a few things happened. My life was kind of in shambles at that time. I mean, I was so lost. I didn't know what my next step was going to be. I wasn't a good student. I didn't make good grades. I don't know if anybody thinks that I'm some kid who was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, or that I always made straight A's all through school. I wasn't. I didn't do any of that. I didn't have all that stuff. And maybe that makes me a better scholar because I can empathize with people who struggle in school. Because once I realized what education could really do for me, it made me into a different person. And what served as a turning point for me was the birth of my daughter, number one, which really let me know, okay, I'm going through all of this. I was borderline homeless at the time, didn't have any money in my pocket, didn't have any education, didn't think I was going to college. But I said, I've got to find a way to make a way because I want to do what's best for my child. Now, I can admit things didn't go the way I wanted them to. I really wanted to marry her mother. I loved her to death. And I guess she had other plans, and so she left, and it broke my heart. I mean, I just remember being at my wits end, and I can't tell you how low I felt at that time. There's nothing like that first heartbreak. Anybody who's been in love, which is pretty much anybody watching, I'm sure, knows what that feels like. And I remember the pain being so excruciating, and I remember just feeling like this all-time low. And I think though that at the same time, the transition was that I was realizing that there are things that I can do in life to make my life better. There are attitudes I can have about life that can make my life better. Being optimistic played a huge role in terms of changing my outlook on life. Focusing on having higher self-esteem, just choosing to have higher self-esteem, realizing that none of us is perfect, but you have gifts, you have something special and unique inside of you that you're born with. Those little things really helped me a lot. And then, once my attitude changed and I began to have a focus on my future and began to work hard, it was like I was a different man. I mean, I was happier. I was more productive. I was achieving my goals. I like to believe I was a man that my daughter could be proud of. I can definitely say I did my 18 years of child support and really was a provider when some men don't do that. And I also worked hard emotionally to be there for her. Even though I'll admit it's very, very difficult to connect to a child that doesn't live in your house or is raised in a culture that's different from the culture you would have raised her in. And so my daughter and I kind of went through some of that, and it's a tough hurdle to overcome. But I did adopt some kids along the way, and things worked out. Now, let me make sure I really get back to the point though. First of all, I would say to the brother who emailed me, get some help on this, okay? I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I'm not even a preacher. Maybe a preacher feels like he has the ability to give that counseling. I don't pretend to be any of these things. I pretend to be a person with some wisdom that I can share that might be helpful to you. So I encourage you, if you can get professional help, try to get that. I mean, sometimes you may have a chemical imbalance or something that goes beyond just people kind of saying the right things to you. But at the same time, there is an old saying that says, you are your own best psychologist. You are your own best psychologist. That means that only you know what it takes internally for you to adjust your thinking, or for you to adjust your ability to receive good advice, for your ability to receive positive opportunities, for your ability to receive a positive outlook on life. You decide that. So that means that if I give you all the medication in the world, all the therapy in the world, and you are rejecting that internally and externally, then you will never receive that. Okay, it will never work. So whatever you do, you have to begin to work on yourself and begin to really assess yourself in a critical yet uplifting way. What I mean by that is this. There are a few things that most of us can do that will make our lives better. Number one, the brother, he emailed me and he did mention, smoking some weed with his friends. And again, I'm not judging anybody's choices or telling people what to do, but I can tell you this. Drugs and alcohol of any type pretty much throws off the balance of the chemistry in your brain. So if you're already suffering with depression and you drink, it makes you more depressed. If you're already suffering from a lack of ambition and motivation and negativity, smoking weed is not gonna lift your spirit, okay? And cocaine will only lift your spirit for a while, and then you sink into an even deeper depression. Heroin, I guess, moves with the momentum of your depression and puts you to sleep, but then you wake up and you still have the same problem. So your only option at that point is to do what? To go right back to sleep, because sleep is the place where you're happiest as a heroin addict. And so my point here is that, number one, first and foremost, goes for any brother out here that wants to listen. Ignore the temptation from society to get involved with drugs and alcohol. That shit will mess you up. And I'm just going to be frank here. That stuff will mess. Too many black men have died from drugs and alcohol. Too many families have been destroyed from drugs and alcohol. People think it's okay because everybody does it and because it's legal. Well, let me tell you a secret. The government don't give a damn about you. Just because they make something legal does not mean that it's good for you. Understand that right now. Understand that right now. The FDA just approved some painkiller drug that all the doctors are saying this is going to kill people, but yet they approved it anyway. Why? Because of the money. The money. They will kill you for a dollar bill. Understand that right now. Now, the second point I would say is that if you can't afford professional help, guess what? The best university in the history of the world is called Google.com. Google.com, the search engine. That means you can get on Google, search for the things that you want to understand about yourself. I'll give you a great example. This is, just me. I just tell the truth. I don't put on these. I don't put on these fancy airs like I'm perfect and like I'm this sort of corporate brand or corporatized kind of perfect little brand. Because people get on me about that. My business manager and stuff. They're like, "Oh, well, you're being too honest. You shouldn't act this way." I'm like, no. I want to be honest because I don't want to pretend to be something I'm not, and then end up looking stupid when people find out who I really am. So here's who I really am. Let me tell you this story. It actually helps here. There was this gorgeous woman I met a few years ago, and I'm smiling when I think about it because she was so pretty. And we had a relationship, and and I told her I loved her, and she told me she loved me, and we were just headed down that path toward commitment, and we'd been together a few months, and then one day out of the blue, I don't know why, she just decided she didn't want to be with me anymore. And it kind of hurt. It's like, wait a minute. I've invested all this time and energy in this person, and I've been as dedicated as I can be. Spent thousands of dollars going to see her, and yet she just decided she wasn't interested. And I don't know what was going on. Maybe she, her. I mean, she just had a relationship before that. So they say, actually, I read this in a book. They say you should never date somebody who is on the rebound. Like, never do that. Never date a person on the rebound. But anyway. So I remember feeling like absolute shit. I remember, I had a choice at that moment. I could either act stupid and yell and scream and holler, or I could save the little piece of dignity I had and wish her well and walk out the door. And that's what I did. I wished her well, gave her a kiss, thanked her for her time, and I left. And I erased her number from my phone and cut her out of my Facebook and moved on with my life. Now, here's what I did during those next few days when I was feeling the depression. I used that as an opportunity to introspect. I got on Google and I literally Google searched for therapists that had information about how to deal with a breakup, how to, how the symptoms of a broken heart. What do you do when you're feeling depressed? What do you do if you have a breakup and you want to get over it? What are the things you shouldn't do during a breakup? And I learned so much during that period. It was ridiculous. I learned so much about myself. I would read stuff and I would say, wow, I'm going through exactly what they're saying in this article. And it made me wiser. It made me stronger. It made me better. And so what I say is, go in, and if you can't get that professional help right away, which I still think you should, get on the internet and start doing some research. Find that purpose. Whenever God puts you in a pit, that is an opportunity for you to grow. That's a challenge for you to grow and to see if you can overcome that. And you can overcome it. You can overcome it. Anything that we want in life, we find a way to get it. When you're playing Xbox and you're trying to find a way to get to the finish line or to get to the end of the game, you figure it out. And the other thing is that when I learned this about life, everything is temporary. Almost everything is so temporary. When you're young, you kind of think what you're going through right now that's it. That's the be all end all. And it's not. It's temporary. It goes away. Just wait it out. It goes away. No matter what situation you're in, most of the time, it goes away. And then 5 years later, you're like, man, I was gonna kill myself over that. Seriously? Like the example I gave you, when my daughter's mom, had left and all that stuff. I remember at that moment, that felt like the weight of the universe on top of my head. And then 5 years later, I was like, ooh, now I've met some real good women. I don't even know why I even like that girl. So with all due respect to her, I mean, she's a beautiful woman, but I learned there were other fish in the sea, and that I didn't have to spend my life moping around over what one person was doing. So you don't waste your life focused on too much on one person or on one situation or on one setback, because situations, setbacks, and people can change. They can change, and the ultimate master of that whole universe, the star of the play on which you are the stage, is you. You are the star of this show. You decide who's on the stage and who's not, how it's going to work, what the future looks like, and whether you're going to move forward and look up or look down and look back. The decision is totally up to you. So what I would say is that, I'm very happy that the brother checked out my video. I want to mention him by name, but I'm not going to, because I don't want to, embarrass him. But I'm glad he saw the video. I'm so glad I was able to help you. And ultimately, my greatest encouragement to you is, take it day by day. Point out some of the things in your life that you want to change in terms of your day-to-day habits. I believe every black man needs to be educated. You don't have to go to school to be educated. Turn on your computer and don't spend time just watching videos and listening to music and tweeting with your friends. Get on there and read some stuff. Read some of my articles. Read some Black history. Go read some Cornel West. Go check out what's going on in your community. Learn something that's going to give you a sense of purpose. You see, because one of the things that happens in the black community is we have a lot of untapped potential because so many of us have not been given a purpose. So find a purpose. Find something that's going to drive you, motivate you, that you're going to love. Start with baby steps. There's a woman that I mentor who's a young single mom. When she came to me, her writing skills were not that great. I'll say maybe ninth grade level at best, if I'm being nice. But she was determined. She said, I want my life to be better. I want to do what's best for my kids. I want to be the woman I could have been if I had done certain things in a certain way. I said, let's get started. So we got started day by day by day. She worked on her grammar. She worked on her writing. She practiced her reading. She watched videos. She did reports that she sent me on various historical figures. And now her writing has improved dramatically. Her outlook on life has improved amazingly. Her income level has risen up. Her children have a mother that is a far greater woman than she was even a year or two ago. Everything has changed. So that's what I say to you. Make that change right now and just take those baby steps. You ain't got to kill yourself. You ain't got to turn into a workaholic off the bat. But spend at least 2 hours a day doing something productive. Never get caught up in the BS of sitting in front of the TV for 10 hours a day, sitting around smoking weed with your boys for X number of hours. Get caught up in things, get high on things that are going to make you successful. Everybody has a drug. Everybody has something that they love, something they're addicted to, something that makes them feel better, something that makes them relax. Even me, I have things that I am addicted to. But my belief is that it's okay sometimes to have certain addictions. You don't go too far, but it's okay to have some addictions. Just make sure they are positive addictions. If you're addicted to healthy food, that's a good addiction. If you're addicted to running, that's a good addiction. If you're addicted to learning, that's a great addiction. You're addicted to reading. I know people, I'm addicted to writing. I love to write. I write every day. That's what I do. There are other things I'm addicted to. And I think that it's a matter of finding addictions that are going to give you what you want and put you in a situation that you want to be in, so that ultimately when you see your life start to transform, you'll realize that you're transforming. Understand this, and this is a fundamental fact, and I've mentioned this before, I'm going to mention it again. Your life is a manifestation of you. Everything about you on the outside is a manifestation of who you are on the inside. So if you are a person that's in one chaotic situation after another, one bad relationship after another, you're not happy with how much money you make, you're not happy with how much education you have, you're not happy with where you live, you're not happy with your family, well, guess what? All of that came from you. All those manifestations in your life were given birth to by you. So in order for you to change it, you must change him. When you change him, you will see the it's all around you start to change. So take that baby step, forgive yourself for the mistakes you've made, learn how to love yourself unconditionally, but then also learn how to kick yourself in the ass a little bit to do better and realize that you're meant to do something special in this world. And don't even think about something as crazy as suicide, because that's not what you're meant to be. That's not where you're meant to be. You don't want to throw away the next 60 years over something you're going through over the last 6 months. That doesn't make any sense. So that's all I want to say. I want to say this to the brother, and I hope things work out for him. I'm going to give him this video as a gift instead of the email response, because to be honest with you, I'm a little tired, so typing will probably wear me out right now. But I'm very happy that God brought us together to have this opportunity to talk, and I hope this 18 minutes and 47 seconds that I've given you in this conversation will help you to achieve your goals. So God bless you, brother, and I certainly wish you well. Let's stay in touch. I am gone. Peace.